So students, we now take up a new lesson in English, that is 2.6 Science and Spirituality. Right, in this lesson you will hear about Dr. Abdul Kalam. All of you know Dr. Abdul Kalam as the former President of India. He is more popularly also known for his contribution in the field of nuclear energy. He is termed as the missile man of India, right? He developed a lot of indigenous missiles for India and he was leading India's missile program. So a very interesting story involving Abdul Kalam and how it relates to the coexistence of science and spirituality. Very often students, we come across two groups of people. One who have a very strong belief in science and they treat spirituality as nothing or secondary, and another group of people who are more spiritually inclined. Always there is a conflict between science and spirituality. So this lesson will show you how science and spirituality can coexist in a very beautiful way. It's a very nice story. Listen to it. I'll start reading and explaining it to you, right? We often witness conflict between two groups of people, one that believe in science and the other that believes in religion. So normally you will find people who have a strong belief in religion, they don't attach scientific importance to science. Rather, they believe if a particular event is occurring in nature, they attribute it to the acts of God. Whereas you have another set of people who have a scientific attitude, a scientific temper. They always have a belief that this is the work of nature or this is the work of science. There is some scientific angle to a particular event happening in nature. Sometimes if floods are caused, you hear people saying that it is God displaying his anger. Whereas the scientists or people who have a scientific temper would attach the heavy floods and rain to the destruction of nature or the imbalance in the environment caused by human activities. So there are different ways that people look at it. Some view it from the scientific angle and some look at it from the spiritual angle, right? So there has always been a conflict between science and spirituality, right? So Dr. Kalam was a great scientist. This is indisputable, right? The world knows that Dr. Abdul Kalam was a very, very great scientist. I just told you of his immense contribution to the field of nuclear energy and India's missile program as well. Now, Dr. Kalam was a great scientist, this is indisputable, but he was also convinced that fact and faith can together create a better planet. So he was a person with a very balanced mind. He said that fact, that is science, and faith, that is spirituality, both if these are there in an individual and well blended or mixed in an individual together, this can create a better planet. So we should have a balance or good balance between fact and spirituality or religion and faith. Science and faith must coexist for human good, right? So there has to be a good coexistence. Both science and faith in God or the Almighty must live together for the benefit of humankind or mankind. Science and faith in Almighty is very good for human existence, right? Science provides focus and focus helps us to solve our problems, discover the truth and conceive inventions. He says there is equal importance to both science as well as faith. Science gives us a focus, it gives us a very different way of looking at things around us. So science gives us or provides focus. It helps us solve many of the questions that may arise in nature. Many questions get answered by scientific thinking or by a scientific approach, right? So he says that science provides focus, and focus helps us to solve questions, discover the truth. So you come to know, like for example, excessive floods or something happening in nature, we can find out the actual truth behind it. Today, the current situation of the pandemic around us, some can take it as an act of God, or some can find out that it's a human activity which probably has caused it. So there is both the angles to it. You can look at it both ways. There is a scientific angle to it, as well as there is what you call a particular belief that it could be an act of God to teach man some certain lessons. You look at it both the ways. So there has to be a balance between both the sets of thinking, right? But science, a scientific approach will help you to find out the cause, to discover new things, right? So if you don't know science, you won't be able to discover a vaccine. Science is going to help you to develop a vaccine to fight the pandemic or to prevent it from happening in future. So that's science, and science must coexist along with faith. So students, when we go ahead with this lesson in the next lecture, you will understand through a very good incident how science and spirituality can coexist and make this planet a better place. Till then, stay safe. Thank you and take care.